welcome to Winging It in the Kitchen with Gina. I'm so excited that you are joining me for my first YouTube video. Super excited to share all of my favorite recipes that all my friends and family have loved for years, and just to show you how easy it is to really work around the kitchen and make amazing things. It's really not that difficult, and I have lots of tricks up my sleeve. I've been cooking and baking for a long time, so let's do this. But it's also the best. It's my homemade banana bread. I'm not exactly sure where I got this recipe. And just to backtrack, do you even know the first time I baked a cake? Well, it wasn't homemade, but look at this. Oh my gosh, I was like 8th grade and I made a cake for my sister's boyfriend. Is that hysterical or what? I wish I had that feathered hair right now. Anyways, we're gonna make banana bread, so let's get started. I've had a lot of friends and family. They love my baked goods, they love my recipes. They're actually not my recipes, a lot of them. I know people are intimidated by baking or cooking, and really it's an easy process. It's all about just following the recipe, but you don't even have to be exact most of the time. So I just want to have fun with this, give you some really yummy recipes to try and woo your family and friends, and I'd love to hear what you think. So the first recipe I am going to do is one of my first recipes that I made over and over that everybody loved. I actually wooed my husband with this recipe. He would come over, he was doing construction and he's building a fence around my house, and I would like bake this banana bread and open up the windows purposely. And we've been married for 15 years, so it works. So single ladies, this is the recipe. All right, most of my recipes will include butter, oil, or heavy cream. Those things are just very, very lovely tasting. So, okay, so this calls for 1/2 cup of softened butter. So, of course, I didn't remember to take my butter out beforehand. So I went ahead and just took one out of the cube out of the fridge and cut some slices into it and then nuked it for 20 seconds, and voila, you have softened butter. You don't want it melted. Some recipes call for melted butter. This one is just softened. So you always want to cream your sugar and butters together if you can at the beginning. One thing that one of the shortcuts that I've always done with baking is, you know how a lot of recipes will say you have to sift your flour and your sugar and your baking soda and your cinnamon or whatever, your spices, and then put it in a separate bowl. I hate doing dishes, so that actually is really unnecessary in about 90% of recipes. So I'm just gonna throw things in as I use them. I don't have cute little bowls with everything measured out because that is not how I cook and bake. I just kind of do it as I go along, and so I'm going to just demonstrate it that way because I want you to see how easy it is that I do it. So I've got my 1/2 cup of butter, and it calls for 3/4 cup of sugar. I have a full cup measuring cup that is in my canister, and so I just measure 3/4 of that full cup and pour it in. I do have a KitchenAid. Of course, I use my KitchenAid mixer a lot, but for something just simple and quick like this, like chocolate chip cookies or banana bread or just something easy, I just use my stand mixer because I feel like I have more control and it just goes a lot faster. So I'm just gonna that up a little. And basically you just want to mix your butter and your sugar really well. And it doesn't even have to be that well, as you can see. I've got eggs for my chicken. Sometimes I've got a little dirt or feathers that are stuck to my eggs. Not a big deal. Usually, you know, you can rinse them off. I usually don't unless they're really dirty and muddy. I just find a clean spot, and the way I learned to crack eggs is just to hit it really quick and swift with a knife and open it up. So there's my 2 eggs. I also have a million aprons, and I never wear them. I don't know why. I just use towels or my jeans or my shirt, and everyone always knows I've been baking. So, okay, so with the eggs, I'm just gonna go ahead and add my ingredients like my spices or my soda, baking powder, and all that. It calls for a 4th teaspoon of salt. Of course, I'm too lazy to take out a 4th teaspoon because I just am. So I'm gonna go, oh yeah, that looks like a 1/4 teaspoon. If you're a little bit too much or a little bit too little, it's not a big deal. That's why I'm not exact on measuring that. It does call for a teaspoon of baking soda and baking powder. Teaspoons are easy. I just kind of, you want to mix it to get the little rocks out, fill it up, and if you just run it along that edge, dip it in. You'll see in some future videos that in my chocolate cake recipe or whatever, I just wing it. I just throw whatever in. I measure it, but it's just not exact because it doesn't have to be. Okay, so I'm going to give that a good mixing again. And then it also calls for 3 large ripe bananas. These, I think this one is a little bit more ripe. The other ones are not. And so I will just first break it into little pieces. The cookbook I'm reading from just so happens to be a cookbook that myself and a few other gals from our church, Calvary Chapel San Luis, did, I think about 22 years ago. It's got all my favorites that I made from, that I've been making for probably 25, 30 years. And then a lot of others as well. I have one book left that I'm kind of hoarding in my cabinet in the garage. I don't know, I think we've sold them all now, but I think Sherry has several left over for a while, but they are amazing. There's so many amazing recipes in this cookbook. All right. You can take a fork and kind of mash the banana really good. I just am kind of lazy right now, so I'm just gonna mix it really good. And as you can see, it's mixed up fairly well. There are a few big chunks, but I kind of like chunks of fruit in my banana bread, so I'm okay with that. Then it's gonna call for 2 cups of flour. I love these glass canisters that I have here on the counter that have my flour and sugar because it's just really easy to access. Again, making it a lot easier to do recipes. And then it just so happens my husband loves walnuts in his banana bread, so I'm just gonna go ahead and add some. I found some in the cabinet. Again, how many should I put in? Probably about a cup. It doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna throw in, well, I'm at the bottom of the bag, so just kind of throw in what I have. You wanna just mix this up really well. And then see how I go up the sides with my mixer? I'm turning the bowl. And kind of mixing it as I go. And then when I am done, I want to clean off the little twisty, bladey parts, whatever they're called. And so I just kind of do it really hard against the edge, and then that cleans them off. And then I'll just take my spatula and go around just to make sure that there's no leftover flour or piles at the bottom. You will notice that I use a lot of Pepper Chef products. The spatula, I love, love, love all the stoneware. You can use any stoneware though. The way I butter my pan is I take a little slab of butter and I just stick it on the end of a baggie like this, and then I just use the baggie just to kind of rub all inside there. And then turn it inside out. You could throw that away or use it for your next recipe. And then a little flour usually helps it to not stick. And then I will kind of bang the sides like this to get that flour to move around. That's it. All right. So I'm going to pour this. This just makes 1 loaf pan. You can also use this recipe if you wanted to divide it into muffin cups and make banana muffins. You can do that. I haven't done that in a really long time. I'm not sure how many. It would probably make 12 or something, I would imagine. And then there you have it. So I am gonna stick this in the oven. We'll see what happens, probably in about 50 minutes. Okay. How the bread tastes. Now I've let it rest about 15 minutes, so it's still pretty warm to the touch. You definitely want to use some perfectly adorable pot holders like this to get your bread out. Basically just run a butter knife along the edges and just pop that puppy out. All right, let's see what we've got here. Now don't forget, I put nuts in here, so there's some walnut chunks. Isn't that beautiful? Wow, almost looks good enough to eat. A little slab of butter. I think I'll take a bite. Oh my, Can you smell it? That is a 1 in a million banana bread recipe. My husband might marry me again. You've got to try that. So delicious. Well, thank you for joining me on my first ever video for my YouTube channel. I would love to hear your comments. I would love to hear any recipes you want to try, or you'd like me to try that you've had a hard time trying, or recipes that you know that I have that I haven't quite given out yet. Please, anything. Comment below. I want to read what you guys have to say. Please hit the subscribe button. It really helps, and thank you so much. I hope your plate is full.